This is Annie and Lacey. The article we reviewed was Math is More Than Numbers, Beginning Bilingual Teachers' Mathematics Teaching Practices and Their Opportunities to Learn by Katherine Yeh. Yeh studied 2 novice bilingual elementary teachers over a span of 3 years and researched 2 main areas. The first area was how these teachers organized mathematics learnings for their emergent bilingual students. The second was what opportunities arose for these teachers to learn to teach mathematics in this type of setting.
Some of the big findings were the major similarities between the 2 teachers. We found that the level of importance placed on both language and mathematics was very similar. We also found that because the teachers came from the same preparation program, they used many similar strategies to build cultural and linguistic identities within their students, empowering the use of their native tongue. Although using similar strategies, the deliveries and their methods stood out and essentially created 2 very different classrooms in regards to the following 3 areas: instructional support, authority of knowledge, and repertoire of language practices. The first area where we see major differences is with instructional supports. The first classroom, being more teacher-centered, followed a routine of teaching the vocabulary and a total physical response model and then engaging in mathematical content. In contrast, the student-centered classroom had a consistent math talk routine. This allowed for students to develop common terminology and vocabulary through the analysis of their work. They were very comfortable problem-solving and presenting multiple solutions in front of a whole group for their teacher to chart.
In the area of authority of knowledge, in the teacher-centered classroom, the teacher held the most authority, using a linear transfer metaphor, which is often highlighted in Western culture. The teacher decides what models to use and a path to her desired solution. On the other hand, in the student-centered classroom, students are the experts, and they hold more power in this community. Teachers are facilitators and learners, and they allow students to further develop their mathematical identity. In the area of repertoire of language practices, both teachers valued language and multiple representations, but they had very different deliveries. The teacher in the teacher-centered classroom focused mainly on the native language, and she used more choral responses, whereas the teacher in the student-centered classroom allowed students to create their own meanings using code switching between native language and the English language.
So how does this shift from a teacher-centered classroom to a student-centered classroom relate to our teaching?
We found this article related to many elements of culturally responsive math teaching, in particular number 4, mathematics, discourse, and communication, and number 6, academic language support for ELLs, as well as the use of ESL scaffolding strategies.
In regards to mathematics, discourse, and communication, even if you are not in a dual immersion classroom setting, your students are still coming from diverse backgrounds. It's important to bring their unique views to the classroom conversations. Using students' funds of knowledge to engage them in rich discussion will build their mathematical identity and create a culture where students come to collective understandings while collaborating.
Even if the use of a second language might be less common in a traditional setting, students should still be encouraged to use their language in the process of sense-making. Furthermore, the ESL strategies could benefit all of our students, not only English language learners.
In conclusion, there must be a balance to building students' cultural linguistic identity as well as their mathematical identity as a learner and powerful contributor in a student-centered classroom.
So now we have some questions for you to think about. Even if you do not teach in a bilingual classroom setting, how might you utilize linguistic identity in mathematical discourse?
As for next steps, what 2 to 3 instructional skills can you develop in order to promote a student-centered classroom that emphasizes language and mathematics with the same level of importance? Thank you for listening, and we hope you can bring these practices to your classroom.